When I was first learning to TIG weld, I really struggled with it. I thought if I just wiped my filler metal with more acetone, or cleaned my material better, or ground my tungsten in a better way, or bought that fancy set of TIG cups that the guy on the internet said would change everything, that my welds would be good. And they weren't. It turns out that there are just a few fundamentals that if you master them, then all those other things can help, but it's just a marginal improvement. So we're gonna cover those fundamentals that are really gonna make the difference. This is the video I needed when I was first learning. In this video, we're not really focused on setup, but let me give you a quick run through of what I'm using, and this is a pretty good all-around setup that should work for you in most situations. One of the topics that gets way too much attention on the internet is what tungsten color to use. I did a video comparing several different tungsten electrode types, and in my opinion, it doesn't really matter very much as long as you're not using green pure tungsten, the dark green. So if you are gonna buy some, I'd get blue lanthanated or 2% seriated or a multi-mix blend like one of these. Next, grind a point on the end. It's ideal to use a dedicated diamond wheel, but I'm just gonna use a regular grinding wheel that's embedded with all kinds of stuff here today. It's not that big of a deal if it's not going to space. Something like that'll be just fine. Don't worry too much about the angle when you're just starting out. I'll just quickly show you my torch setup. You have a little insulator heat shield here. If you are running a CK Worldwide style torch, they have a different style of heat shield insulator. So you have to get the special one for CK Worldwide. The rest of them are pretty universal. Next comes my collet body right here, and this is called a stubby gas lens collet body. I like these a little bit better, but you can just use whatever you have that came with your torch to get started. But this has a little diffuser in it to help spread the gas out a little bit more. Now, as far as the cup that goes on the front, there are a lot of different styles and sizes. I'm going to use a number 7 today because this size will work for pretty much anything, whether it's steel, stainless steel, aluminum. It's not the ideal size for any of that in my opinion, but it'll work across the board, and we're trying to keep our setup simple to focus on those fundamentals. Next, just drop in the collet, loosely install the back cap. I'm going to leave the tungsten extended about that much and tighten it down with the back cap. Now, since I'm running a number 7 cup, I want to set my gas flow in CFH to about 2.5 times my cup size. It's going to be right around 20. I'm using HDP's new 210 amp TIG welder today. I just did a full review on this a couple weeks ago, and I gotta tell you, if you want something better quality than the cheap budget brands, but still at a reasonable price, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna start off by setting the machine to DC to do some welding on steel, and I'm not using any kind of pulse. Now, a couple settings you might want to pay attention to, whatever machine you have, are pre-flow. A little bit of pre-flow, like a little less than a second, can be really helpful. And post-flow right here, it's good if that's up at 8 or 10 seconds to keep the tungsten clean and bright. For amperage settings, a good rule of thumb is 1 amp per 1,000th of an inch. So 1/8 inch material is 120 thousandths. And that means 120 amps would be a pretty good setting. Now, this might be a little bit high for a beginner because we'll be traveling a little slowly, but since I have a foot pedal, I'll actually turn it up a little bit to 135. Then I can use my foot pedal to fine tune as I go. But if you didn't have one, go, a little bit less than 1 amp per thousandth on steel. In a minute, I'll move from steel over to weld some aluminum and show you that the same fundamentals we're talking about apply to any material that you're going to weld. Let me just give you an overview of what these 3 fundamentals are that make more difference than anything else. One is your arc length. How close is the tungsten electrode to your workpiece? Right? You need to keep that short and keep it consistent all the way along. A lot of people will tend to grow as they weld. Just about every beginner seems to do that. Second is your angle. Your travel angle in the direction that you're moving, facing a little bit forward is good. You can do a little bit more on DC if you want, but anyway, you don't want to get too carried away with it. And also your work angle, if you're welding, say a T-joint like this, you need to be coming 45 degrees in here. If you're down or up or something like that, it's not gonna work out well. And the third is travel speed. And your travel speed needs to be balanced with your amperage. At a high amperage, you've got to move fast. If you're running a lower amperage, you can move more slowly, but you're gonna put more heat into your material when you do that. You might be thinking, well, what about adding filler metal and 1,000 other things? Well, the reality is when I've helped people who are struggling, it's almost always one of these three fundamentals is out of whack. And if you get these right, adding filler really isn't too bad. We'll do it in a minute. Now I'll break these fundamentals down one at a time and just walk through each of them and show you how they all really work together to make a nice TIG weld. And you don't need to get more complicated than this in our reality. Let's start off by looking at arc length because that's the one that gets most beginners. See how I'm in there nice and tight, and I have a really controllable puddle that I can just push along. But if it grows, look at that, what a mess. And then I'm having to add more amperage, and it just is, it's a total mess, right? How are you supposed to control that? And then what's more, if my arc length is long like this, look what happens when I go to try to add filler. See how it just balls up and plops in? That's gonna be a mess. That's the biggest problem when people go to add filler, is it's just balling up like that. Watch how much better things go when I keep a nice short arc length. And when you're first starting out, practice this without filler. Just make sure that you can maintain that arc length all the way across, but I'm keeping it as steady and consistent as I can. And notice I can just add filler metal right to the front leading edge of that puddle without it melting off from the arc, at least not too much. It doesn't ball up like the last example. Angles aren't quite as critical as arc length, especially when you're welding DC on steel, but let me show you what happens if you get out of whack a little bit on this joint. See, this is an outside corner joint, and I should be coming straight up and down off of it, but a lot of people will kind of relax back and end up something like this, at least from what I've seen. Now see how that comes off the side there? And so it's really melting one side, and just like you'd expect, you know, kind of common sense comes into play here a lot. And in the end that looks okay, but it sure goes a lot better if I can prop up and run with a proper angle. Next, let's take a look at travel speed. And travel speed combined with your amperage really sizes your weld. Too many amps, too slow a travel speed, it's gonna run away from you and overheat everything. Too much travel speed, not enough amps, you're going to end up with too small of a bead. So I'm gonna start off and form my puddle. Once it's formed, I'm just going to move it along and keep it a consistent size. And I'd encourage you to practice this without adding filler or welding joints, and just see if you can't keep that consistent size, just like that. Now watch, if I use more amperage, I can get a similar width of puddle but travel quite a bit faster. So which is better to do? Well, there's no right or wrong answer, but my answer is you should run as hot and fast as you're able to keep up with your skill, right? The faster you go and the higher the amperage, the less overall heat you're gonna put into your material. That's gonna mean less distortion, less discoloration, and just overall a better product, plus your productivity is a little bit higher. That being said, as a beginner, it's a pretty good idea to dial things back until you really get the hang of it. Now, after you've run several beads just on a flat plate to really practice these fundamentals, one of the best joints to practice them with is a lap joint. See, when you run a T-joint, after I've welded this side, the back side will be oxidized, and so it's not gonna weld very cleanly, where with a lap joint, you're able to weld both sides of it without really doing any cleaning in between. And you can offset the coupons like this and run the short and long sides. So it's a lot of practice for the material. See, at this point, there's nothing fancy. I'm just doing what I've already done. Coming in about 45 degrees, not too much travel angle, and then I'll add filler right up at the front edge of the puddle. I stop barely short of the corner, and then I'll come around here and just wrap it. See this discoloration, the oxide there? That's completely normal and acceptable for a carbon steel weld. But the cool thing is, if I flip it over, the part that is oxidized is not in the joint, at least for the most part. So I can go ahead and weld these out right there without any issue. Now I'm going to switch over and run a couple beads on aluminum just to show you that the exact same fundamentals apply there. So I just need to change my machine over to AC. I'll select that. I'm not going to use any pulse or anything fancy like that. Now AC does have some extra settings. I'll just put on the screen here a good starting point. I'd just go with that and move on. Same three fundamentals apply: arc length, angle, travel speed. See, in the beginning, I'm focused on that angle and arc length, getting it established, and my travel speed, I'm just watching the width of that bead. It starts off slow, but as heat soaks into that aluminum, I either need to back off my amperage or pick up the pace like I did here, and it worked out pretty good. What I want you to take away from this really has to do with the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the results come from 20% of the inputs. And in the case of learning to TIG weld, that 20% that'll give you the big gains, that is your arc length, your angles, and travel speed, of course balanced with amperage. So focus on those things. Once you get those things down, then dig into all that other wonderful stuff, fine-tuning your settings, your torch setup, cleaning, prep, all of that you can really go bananas with, but master the fundamentals first. Thanks a ton for tuning in. If you enjoyed this or learned something, let me know by hitting that thumbs up below or leaving me a comment. And I do have a link to my online courses if you want me to guide you through focused exercises to practice this. And I keep them pretty affordable. We'll see you next time.